I overate because I ordered a Whopper Junior meal, but I mean, it was generous. They gave me a Whopper instead. But I overate too much because I had to get these jalapeno. I probably don't need it. Very fattening, but spicy. I need it for the be able to breathe. The air is so bad. Yeah, right? Look at that. The girl up there behind the counter is complaining about me for since I came in here. I was very polite to her, but she complained about me, so I'm very rude. Now she's complaining that I'm live streaming. You'd think she'd have something better to do than be upset with me for a living. You can hear her, right? She's going off. Complaining that I'm live streaming. Yeah, police tried to arrest me for it yesterday. Not live streaming though. For recording. But I wasn't recording when it came up. And they accused me of recording little children getting off the school bus, which was a lie. This guy's to the swerve so you can come over and check me out. Real good. I don't like it. Trying to get a feel up on my ball sack. Wow. I overate. I got the Whopper Junior meal, but they gave me a Whopper instead, which was nice. And I got the jalapeno poppers. Jalapeno bites. Gotta say it right. I don't want to be rude. Yeah, that girl said I was rude because I said jalapeno. Whatever. My father, and I told her a story about how my father went to the store one time and he got a bunch of them. And she's like, I'm looking them up, sir. They're not coming up. He said, they're called jalapenos. She's like, I'm looking right here. She was looking under the letter H. They both had a laugh out of that one. Jalapeno. So yeah, 87 places I'm banned from now. And the wall I would sit on, it's on Ave. It's called AV, Avenue, because it's a road. But they're saying it's a private driveway. I was sitting about 15 feet off the roadway, which is pretty much the easement, sitting on the edge of a wall where I grew up, where I skateboarded as a child. And even the neighbor from the back knew who I was, and he would wave at me when he'd drive by every time. But this other guy moved in there, and he didn't like me. Yes, that's the guy in my video. And yes, of course I recorded him coming up to me in the dark, threatening me because I was recording, because he was being very stalking and aggressive with me. And I wasn't hurting anybody. I was filming the drones. If you remember, there was like 20 drones or more that night. At least 20 that I got on film, maybe. Or not film, digital. But anyway, now I'm banned from 87 places. I can't sit on the wall next to my childhood home anymore. They told me I had to leave the area. I'm not even allowed in the area. I'm only allowed to sit at Downing Park, they said. I'm like, that's crazy. I don't want to go to Downing Park, which is like what? How many miles away? Number one. Number two, I don't want to go there. What do I want to go there for? So I did like 40 miles the other night just trying to find a place to lay my head. Well, 40 miles between the other night and the other afternoon, as it was, and on the clock. Trying to find a place to rest my head because the police were following me everywhere. Then first thing in the morning, they pulled me over on my bicycle, and they said it's not a citation. They are citing to you the law, and they print it up in their car, and they give you 2 pieces of paper citing the law. That's called a citation, telling me that if they catch me riding my bicycle on the sidewalk again, I'll serve a minimum of 10 days in jail. My bicycle will be confiscated for evidence. And if I skip the bench warrant, I could do more time in jail. And it's an arrestable offense, and I will be handcuffed. They're just harassing me. And the other officers were laughing about that. You know, like, oh yeah, that's Feo. Yeah, oh, Feo told him that. And then they were harassing me too, and waddling. I'm like, why are y'all waggling and straddling like you're walking into a saloon? Like, what's the matter? They're like, we received a call. And I'm like, everywhere I go, I said, don't y'all got like a drug dealer that will slice somebody's, you know, with a knife or something that you need to be finding out about, instead of trying to find a guy who's sitting on a wall meditating and praying and filming drones, recording drones. Right? Because the police are part of it, right? And they know my children are missing. So then they try to flip it around and they're like, oh, you were filming children getting off a school bus. No, they know about the little girl down the street. And I defended her, and I made sure that a lot of people knew that they were hurting that little girl. And when the lady confessed it, probably with laughter, they immediately got a taxi cab over there and got the little boy out of the house. And no, I didn't call CPS. I addressed the public so that people would know. And the one guy that lived in the house, I guess he was an uncle, he was glad about it. But these people are angry because they're child abusers too. They do that sexual touching and that sleep paralysis, witchcraft crap, right? So they don't want this woman. She literally picked this child up. She squeezed her rear end like that, and then she tightened her belt around her, and then she put her over her shoulder and started shaking her, calling her a little baby. What are you, a little baby? Like totally sexually and physically abusing the child. So I did what I could do, and then they wanted to shoot me with a gun and kill me. Same thing happened to my father. My father used to go out in the neighborhood, and he would talk to the young people, and he'd say, you know, I know y'all smoke that wacky tobacco, and they'd start laughing, and he'd say, you don't understand when I'm, you know, around here, the neighborhood is going down. It's bad for the children. You know, they got prostituting and pornography and crack dealing going on here, and there's children in those houses, you know, so they would cooperate with my father, and for that, the drug dealers and the pimps wanted to murder my father and my grandfather, and they did murder my grandfather. So I'm kind of getting the same targeting. And yes, I stick my nose in other people's business when they're hurting children. Yes, I do. And my children are missing, and the police know that, so they try to make up a story about I was filming children. They did. If you saw the video exactly, you saw it. Obviously, they did the same thing in New Windsor. They said they don't want you near the school. I said to the officer, right? That's exactly what I said. Oh, you mean because I sent a text that said, tell so-called Francis Bedetti that my grass is over 10 inches tall and needs to be cut. And I took a picture of it, and it was up over the cones and everything at the school because it wasn't being maintained. And I didn't even send that text to the city. I sent it to somebody else. But because they were pinging my device and looking at my texts, they were really upset about that. And I said, is that why? And he goes, yeah. And I said, so what did I do? He's like, you didn't do anything. I'm like, so why do I come out of the bank and there's 5 officers waiting for me? And one of them stumbling, if you remember, holding on the signpost because he was so trembling with adrenaline, he wanted to lay his hands on me, right? Because I brought up the name Francis Bedetti. So immediately they have this so-called memorial and funeral for Francis Bedetti, right? Because the last name is a witness protection program fake name, just like a lot of people in my family. And the Fayos or New Windsor Police, Newburgh Police, Highway Department, they're all related. So this officer in Newburgh, he's rattling off to me about, oh, Blooming Grove Police and New Windsor Police. You never know, maybe you'll get stopped by Newburgh or Town of Newburgh or New Windsor Police, you know, going on and on about all these police that had just been stalking me, like all in one jurisdiction. I said, you forgot about Lloyd Police. He goes, yeah, Lloyd Police too. And Lloyd is very far away. It's near Highland, way up 9W. And they were also following me in Newburgh. And so it's Rockland County Police, Walden Police. I went into Newburgh lunch at 6:30 a.m. on the clock to have breakfast. And Montgomery and Walden and Rockland Police went in there and sat down right across from me and started sideways talking. What is the chances of that, right? Can other people see these comments? Because I can't read them all, and I don't want to read them all. I mean, I would, but I've been staying outside. Last night, Anna put me up in the hotel, but a lot of cigarette smoke in that place. Makes it hard to breathe, man. Even if they're not smoking in that room, you know, there's cigarette smoke in that building. Plus, they were trying to do that sexual witchcraft, that psychic paralysis shit to me in my sleep. But I sure could use a place to sleep because it went down to 29 degrees. I got that 30-degree sleeping bag, but they gave me a roommate that didn't bother me. That was a good thing. But he knows they was doing witchcraft to me, trying to do the paralysis and the psychic mirroring while I'm sleeping. You know, fuck them. I'm sorry for cussing. Fuck that shit. It's aggravating because people with bad vibes follow me and they try to put their negative, dirty, homosexual energy on me. And it's a stressful feeling. Call me a bitch and a fool and an idiot and a faggot and everything else. I'm not the one that follows people around. I'm the one that's trying to find a place to sit down and mind my own business. And they say, oh, you should have thought about that before you stuck your nose in. What? Because she picked up that little girl, she grabbed her by her rear end and squeezed it sexually like that, tightened her belt, flopped her over her shoulder and started shaking her around. I said, I'm going to tell everybody about that shit. These fucking faggots fucking everybody up. No good, you know? Oh, yeah, the little girl, she must have been about, I don't even know, like maybe 6 at the most. Maybe 6. Yeah, I took a beating in my face on Broadway, right? And they said it was because I ran my mouth, but that wasn't why. Because I stuck my nose in people abusing somebody. Yes, I did stick my nose in it. I always do. That's the same thing they did to me. So I go in Henry W. Muthig Bus Company, and I said I wasn't sure if it was George M. Carroll or Henry W. Muthig, whatever hell kind of name that is, right? And I said, but I remember the call numbers to the bus. Would you be able, if I tell you, to know if this was one of your call numbers in the past or presently? She said, yeah, go ahead. And I said, KYB 962 Endor 965. And they all went like that. And they looked at each other like, oh, yeah, as a matter of fact, it is. And I said, and did you or do you still have a bus driver named Dottie or goes by the name Dottie? Which is where the line in Forrest Gump comes from. Yes, it's a poke. Yes, it is. And they said, yeah, we do. What happened? And I told them, I said, I don't know if it was her driving that day or someone else or Susan Armstrong or whoever it might have been driving. But I was drugged and hypnotized on the bus. I was the only child on the bus. There was no other child. And there was a woman. We didn't have bus monitors, but there was this woman, this young woman, skinny, straight hair, Burlington coat factory, cashmere type coat, whatever, merino wool, whatever they call it. And they made me get off the bus with her like miles from my house. And I was like, why don't you take me home? They're like, you missed your stop. You shouldn't have been sleeping on the bus. I'm like, but there's nobody on the bus. You have to take me home. You know, I was like weeping my eyes out. I was like 7 years old, maybe at the most. Maybe 6 or 7, maybe 7 or 8, maybe. I don't think I was even 8. But I was weeping my eyes out. You know, I was like, you got to take me home. And they said, no, we don't. That's what you get. And I said, but, you know, there's nobody else on the bus. Where are you taking me? They're like, to the end of the route. And they took me way out into the town of Newburgh where I didn't know where I was. And they said, now you're going to get off the bus with Charlotte and you'll be able to call your mom. And I said, I don't know Charlotte. And they said, doesn't matter. She'll take you inside and call your mom. So Charlotte takes me inside to a drug house and she offers me drugs. Altogether, I was unconscious 4 times during that. I was unconscious 4 times during that. and it was nitrous oxide to be specific, which is relevant anyway. Years later, there's a Greek television show that goes by two different names, and there's a couple different sisters which are part of the Tinelli, Sinelli, Esposito family, whatever their real last names are. And the show goes by the name Nami Nacito or Pami Paquito. Most people know about it because that's where they would call me Patata Sue and Anthropos and all the names that they came up with for me. It was a Greek television show, and the woman that was doing the daycare, I don't know what name she went by, I didn't catch it because I wasn't paying that good attention, looked like the woman Charlotte working in a daycare center. And that's usually the MO of these child trafficking, abusing people. Like the police officer guy who used to sexually abuse me when I was a child, him and his wife opened up a place called 13, I mean, what a name, right? 13 Jewel Daycare. Was it like 7 son of a 7 son family jewels? What does that mean? 13th Jewel Daycare. You know, anybody who would drop their child off there, you know, is like sick and demented, right? But that's what my so-called handlers used to do to me. They used to drop me off places to be molested by people. Yes, I recognize a woman stalking me. She's one of the Melissa Mary doppelgangers. Ew. Stalking me, absolutely stalking me. I was raped in that house on 11 Van Cleft Avenue 4 times. And they do. They follow me, and they don't feel any kind of way about it. They don't feel bad about it. They don't feel embarrassed about it. Nothing. Whether they're sisters, cousins, doppelgangers, they don't care because the power is on their side. I'm banned from 87 places. I can't go to any grocery store in New Windsor. Not any grocery store. I can't go to Dollar Tree. I can't go to I could go to Hannaford's. Patty said I could go to Hannaford's. I got a pink paper that says I can't go anywhere in the world to Hannaford's anywhere for the rest of my life. Can't go to Hannaford's, but I don't care. I don't like Hannaford's. Can't go to Dollar Tree. Can't go to ShopRite. Can't go to Price Chopper. You saw that video. Yes, that girl and her sister sodomized and raped me when I was a child, and her boyfriend's upset about it, so I'm banned from Price Chopper now. And the other lady posed as a worker at Letchworth Village, Letchworth Willowbrook, 75 IQ retard. And these people all want to hurt me because I was their hub. I was their target since I was a child. They refer to me as it, that, her, she, him. Sometimes, if I'm lucky, they call me a him. But they never refer to me directly, and they always abuse me. And they always have. I even got one of the 87 places I'm banned from is high school. I wasn't allowed to finish high school. They were sodomizing and molesting me sexually in the back stairwells of school, grown women. But I'm not allowed at the school. They would give me a 40 a beer and be like, yeah, put that on your inside pocket and go to class. And I would be drugged and hypnotized, and I didn't do those things. I was an inquisitive child. I was a learning child. I was interested in things. But everywhere I went, I was being abused. And then there were stories being made. Like, for instance, this guy, Gerald, I think it was Gerald, he worked in the AV room in the school, right? Audio video, and he showed me how to do splicing and stuff. He snuck me in there or something. I don't remember. But he showed me how he does splicing. You put it on the thing and you slice it diagonally or whatever in the dark room. And he made this video with a video camera. And he said, now walk into that locker like you're going to walk through it. No, I'll do it again. That wasn't good enough. So I do it. And he goes, perfect. Now I want you to get as close as you can to it and walk like you're walking out of it, like you're coming out the other side of the wall. And I was like, oh, all right. I said, you're going to like put them together. He's like, yes. And I guess people saw that video and they thought I wasn't a real person because they did a lot of drugs and believe a lot of crazy stuff. And he made that video of me walking through a wall in the high school, which is why Ben Graffs thinks that I walk through walls. Right. Maybe. Yeah. Yes, she raped me. Or her sister did, and she knows it. And that's why she's smugly sitting right across from me, smugly. And they took my children and they murdered one of my children and brought me in a drug state to the basement of this house. Said they were an abortion clinic and they murdered one of my unborn children and made me hold the girl's hand while it happened. And yes, they work for the federal government. They have a lot of money and they drive big, fancy, expensive cars. And at the time they did. The rest of the cousins are famous. They became world famous. Go listen to their lyrics, right? Love it when it comes without a warning. Love it when it comes in 20 seconds. Waiting for it gets so boring, right? What do you think that's about? It's about my penis. And they're famous for singing that. Bring my boys out, faces in craters like the moon. We have not yet lost all our graces. Wait till you're announced. What, as they dance in the comatose, they don't tell. What do you think that's about? It could have happened in a prison. The hounds remain in chains. What is that all about? Raped 4 times in that house, molested, and potentially other things that happened in the house down the street at number 2. Molested and raped and hypnotized, drugged, and psychically driven in 10 different apartments right there on that adjacent street or adjoining street, and in one garage. Houses around the block, on the corner, a couple houses on Ship Street. Then if you go further down, houses on South Street, houses on Richmond Avenue, houses on Allison Avenue, Bush Avenue, Farrell Street, McKinstry Street. I mean, just could show you like Fullerton. I could show you hundreds of places where I've been sexually abused, and they told me it was normal and consensual. It wasn't. I was hypnotized and drugged every time. Oh yeah, she's just sitting on there smug, like, yeah, you recognize me? You better not. You better get my name out of your mouth. It might not be her. It might be her sister. One of them goes by name Shannon. Shannon again, right? No, it's not random that somebody that molested me as a child just happened to follow me in here. Talking about they're 16 and I was 21, and now they're suddenly older than me. No, they don't say that. They don't say they're older than me, but it's obvious they are. Yep, she looks like her sister. Yep. Oh, she knew it. She sat there the whole time, feeding her face. I started coming. Now look, this lady immediately, like a police officer, immediately go around. He just held his camera up at somebody. Yeah, somebody who followed me in here, who sexually abused me as a child, or her sister. But I'm not allowed to defend myself. Every time I defend myself, it's called a crime, right? How do I put this thing in? It's supposedly a crime if I defend myself or say something to people that are abusing me or other people. I can try to keep a feel under my testicles. What do they call that? The narcissistic tickler or something like that? Yeah, I got my face beat in pretty bad for interfering. And it hurt really bad. Could have been worse. Somebody already posted a video of that one girl on YouTube. She still hangs out posing as some, you know, extra large, oversized high school girl. That's what they do. But she was an adult when I was in high school, and I was like maybe 14 years old. I went into the Coast Guard at 14 and a half years old, having an honorable discharge. This one over here wants to know if I recognize her. That's what I deal with. And he's sitting there looking at his phone, and she wants to know if I recognize her. And she's like, let me know. You know, sitting there like this. I mean, who does that? Who goes to a restaurant to follow somebody, right? I come here to eat. She came here to follow me. Look, he's sitting there talking sideways about it. Like, yeah. Oh, no, now he's looking at me. Like, who does that? They do. I don't. It's always self-defense. And the police said I'm not allowed to record. Then they put something on the news. It's not a crime to record. No, when it's for them to offend or harm somebody, then it's suddenly not a crime. But if it's for somebody to defend themselves, then it's suddenly a crime. That's a bias, a double standard, as they call it. Yes, see, someone notes. Yes, the girl went by the name Jen Thiel, but it wasn't the same one years later who worked in the dentist office. It was a different person. This is really heavy. I gotta finish that rack, fix the rack. I couldn't get that metal cut at Lowe's without buying a hacksaw and a drill and all that. Maybe I'll go to some shop and see if somebody will mark it and they can cut it for me. Yeah, these are the wheels that the bike shop gave me. Pretty good wheels. I mean, I bought them, but he gave me a great deal. Gave me good tires and stuff. Well, I guess I gotta end this. I got long johns on. It's really hot. The temperature went up, but then the temperature goes right back down. So it's like, you know, it's like being in the desert or something. It's really hard to regulate and care for myself like this. And they kick me out of assisted living and make me homeless. It doesn't make any sense, right? How does somebody live in an assisted living for 6 calendar years successfully, neatly, and cleanly, and then you throw me out on the street all of a sudden? Because I don't comply with your witchcraft or your abuse, or that the apartment was rigged up for torture. Oh yeah, I proved a lot of that, but people won't listen. Neither do the police. In fact, they bear testimony to the opposite. If that had been a mentally ill person in that apartment, they would have lost it. They would have freaking totally lost it. You know, a normal person would have mentally ill in an apartment, being tortured every day like that. Chemically and sonically and gang stalkingly, yes. Temperature changes in the water pressure going up and down, chemicals through the pipes and chemicals through the vents. Yes, somebody would have lost it, definitely.